They're coming! Run! No, no! Come on, this way!
I think I see him, Mr. Glenn!
Let's go down to the
They're
water!
heading for the
Down
beach!
the water!
Yeah, down by the beach!
Run! Look out! Run down! No! Stop! No! Don't stop moving! They're down there, Mr. Glenn! Get it, go! Okay, all right.
Lay down,
hurry
Bud.
up!
Lay down or I'll shoot you, goddammit!
Hurry up, bro!
Lay down!
That's right! Shoot him!
I'll give up, Mr. Glenn, please.
Shut up, Henry.
Please don't hit me, please. Oh!
Clean him up. Take him to the hole. And call the press.
Dateline, San Francisco. Alcatraz was the scene last night of a dramatic escape attempt. 4 desperate prisoners were apprehended on the rocky beach below the prison. The recently completed Golden Gate Bridge serves as a backdrop. So near, yet so far from freedom, the surviving escapees, Henry Young and Rufus McCain, are escorted back to lockup, while their less fortunate cohorts are destined for the morgue. The body of Doc Barker, son of the infamous Ma Barker, lies bullet-riddled, cooling on a steel gurney, attended by a triumphant guard. The squad of jubilant correctional officers who foiled the escape congratulate each other and reluctantly show their battle scars. A proud Warden Humpson, supervisor of 3 penitentiaries, Folsom, San Quentin, and Alcatraz, and confidant to J. Edgar Hoover, congratulates his troops.
Uphold the honor of Alcatraz.
Humpson returns to his duties as the inmates are sent through metal detectors. Cells are searched, extra guards are called up, and Alcatraz goes on full alert to forestall any additional trouble. As public interest reached a frenzy, Warden Humpson and Associate Warden Glenn left the island in the bay for a press conference, headed for the San Francisco City Hall, which was inundated with a veritable plethora of reporters from around the globe, all gathered to hear the official reaction. Associate Warden Milton Glenn introduces Warden John Humpson.
Warden Humpson will now make a brief statement, and if you please, no questions at the end. Thank you.
I just want to reassure the American people that Alcatraz is an escape-proof prison, that they have nothing to fear. The inmates, McCain and Young, will be brought up on escape charges. There will be time in solitary confinement. Privileges will be taken away from them, and the whole rehabilitation process will begin.
Definition of rehabilitate: to restore to a state of physical, mental, and moral health through treatment and training. When Henry Young began his rehabilitation, I was in my first year of law school at Harvard.
Hello.
Alcatraz was opened as a federal penitentiary in the spring of 1934. In the era of the gangster, it was opened more for the publicity value than the incarceration level. Alcatraz was the most feared prison in the world, and the most expensive. You see, there were only so many Al Capones and Machine Gun Kellys, so the prison had empty cells. In order to justify the cost, the government took incorrigibles from other prisons, men that had committed smaller, more petty crimes. Men like Henry Young.
Hallowed be thy name. Our Father, art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Our Father.
Prior to 1938, there had been 5 escape attempts. No one had made it. The reputation of Alcatraz as being unescapable was secure. 6 inmates had died. The ones who didn't die sometimes wished they had. The federal guideline regarding solitary confinement states that the maximum stay for an inmate shall not exceed 19 days.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you, gentlemen.
Alcatraz is a half-mile off the coast of San Francisco. There were 276 inmates, 110 guards with their wives and children stationed on the island. And the associate warden, Mr. Glenn. This is the story of Henry Young as I know it.
October 2nd, Game 2, 1936. World Series, American League, Yankees versus National League, New York Giants. Yankees score 18 runs, and the series record. Every single man in their lineup hits at least once. Every single man in their lineup scores at least 1 run. The onslaught is run. Like Ricky, sorry. 5 RBIs apiece. 5 RBIs apiece.
Lunchbox, we'll go see Muppy.
Oh, you stink, boy.
Oh, come on. You're good there. Come on now. You did good.
The only other survivor of the escape attempt was Rufus McCain. He had betrayed his fellow inmates by tipping off the associate warden. McCain was rewarded and left in the general population. Henry Young was sent to solitary.
Come on.
Henry. Some men are broken by the laws that they break, unable to resist the forces that are pulling them down. Other men live by the rules that society has set down. You're not one of them. Henry, I have a job to do here at Alcatraz. Do you know what that is? To protect you from yourself. You are among the selected sinners the state set apart so that you could simmer in scum. The good people of the United States have decided that you were better off here. I had nothing to do with that decision. But where I play a part in your life is to make sure that you stay here, that you rehabilitate yourself, become a model prisoner, a better human being. That's my job, Henry. You too have a job. And trying to escape is not one of the duties of your job description. You follow me. In life, Henry, for every action, there is a definite and distinct reaction. Action. Reaction. Yes, now, if you escape action, I lose my job. Reaction. I have a family that I will not be able to provide for! I'm not done yet, Henry. Now, knowing this information, Henry, can you tell me why you would possibly want to escape and jeopardize my family? I've done nothing to you but my job. And instead of letting you learn by breaking the rules, I feel I need to show you how to obey them. Tolerance. Tolerance for pain. My tolerance of you. But tolerance can be mistaken for kindness, and kindness can be mistaken for weakness. And we can't have weakness, can we, Henry?
I understand. I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna try and run again.
No, you won't.
Action. Reaction, Mr. Glenn. Action. Reaction, Mr. Glenn. Action. Reaction, Mr. Glenn. Action.
Reaction. Good. 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 Take him to the hall. Clean him up, take him to the hall.
Christmas 1939. I celebrated visiting with my brother. Henry Young celebrated in Alcatraz.
Rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Rest ye merry
called himself a hipper in his asshole.
Been saying it over and over again. I can't get him to shut up, Mr. Glenn. It gets on your nerves, you know?
In January of 1941, I had passed the bar exam. Henry Young was in his 3rd year of rehabilitation.
No, Mr. Glenn!
Welcome to Alcatraz, gentlemen. Step off the boat and onto the dock. Eyes straight ahead at all times.
There was one boat named after Warden Humpson which handled the traffic to and from Alcatraz. In the morning and afternoon, it shuttled the school children to San Francisco for classes. It was also used to transport prisoners to the island. Whenever possible, having children and prisoners on the boat at the same time was avoided.
Don't look at the children.
I'll take the kids into the city. We'll go shopping. Honey, can I call you back? The warden's here. Good morning, Warden.
Morning.
When did you arrive on the island?
About 20 minutes ago, Mr. Glenn.
Good.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Mr. Glenn, we've been going over the rotation figures in the solitary confinement cells.
Is there something wrong, sir?
Well, I don't know. I don't think this can be right.
What's that, sir?
Now, here, 244. According to this, he's been in there since March of 38.
I don't believe there's been an attitude change with regard to 244, sir. He's not like the other inmates.
That's over 3 years.
He was the one who masterminded the escape attempt in 38, and there hasn't been an escape attempt since. If you let those animals believe that escape is possible, you might as well stick in a revolving door.
I think he has learned his lesson.
Come on, Henry. Let's go.
Henry Young had been rehabilitated. I was now a public defender in San Francisco. We would meet in 3 days.
Eat, Young! You know the rules. You don't eat, you go to solitary. Now get with it!
2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times 4, 8. 3 times 5, 10. 12 times 8. 96.
Hey, Henry, McCain, he put you in the hole. Put you in the hole. McCain's still here. Look. McCain, he put you in the hole. Put you in the hole. McCain, he put you in the hole. McCain. McCain, put you in the hole. McCain. He put you in the hole. Put you in the hole.
The United States of America versus Henry Young, charged with murder in the 1st degree. Approach the bench. Charged with murder in the 1st degree. Henry Young, Rufus McCain, and their striking and wounding sharp steel instrument to wit a spoon. Spoon. No. This can't be right.
That's right.
If you say so. To wit, a spoon about 4 inches in length, which striking and wounding described as foresaid, caused and said Rufus McCain thereafter, to wit, on June 11th, 1941, to die. Trial set 1 week from Thursday, June 22nd. This court stands adjourned.
Pick him up and lay him down. Let the flag just pump like pistons. Yes, come on. The spirit is willing. I can see it in your eyes, boy.
Right back
Come on. Pump and go. Remember Jesse Owens in the 36 Olympics. Maybe tomorrow,
Rock
boy.
and slow. Want to go right back where I belong. Way down south in Birmingham, I mean south in Alabama, an old place where people go to dance the night away. They all drive or walk for miles to get jive, that southern style solo jive that makes you want to dance till break of day. It's a junction where the town folk meet.
Sorry, Kelsey. Gosh, you all right? Mary, I'm sorry. Sorry. Everything okay?
Stop that now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hankins saw us. He wouldn't think twice about suspending me or you.
All right.
Fix your tie.
Why?
You need to look good when you thank Hankin.
Thank Hankin? What do I want to thank Hankin for? The man's a cretin.
He's given you a case.
Case of what, scotch?
Yes, James, the case of scotch.
Wait a minute, an actual case for us to stand in front of a jury?
Federal murder one, no less.
Henry Young.
He's a convict who killed another convict in front of 200 witnesses.
Wow. Was it self-defense?
With a spoon.
What with a spoon?
That was the murder weapon. Your client used the spoon to kill the man.
But there weren't any forks or knives available? Great. My first case, I can't possibly win.
You do this one for the experience, for the next time when maybe your guy didn't do it. You could learn a lot. Now, go see your client, make nice to Mr. Hankin on the way out.
I'll see you tonight?
Maybe.
Mr. Hankin, I want to thank you very much for your confidence in me and giving me
I
this
don't
case.
have any confidence in you. The guy is guilty. A monkey could try the case and not make it any worse than it is.
I see.
Remember that.
Thank you, sir.
A monkey.
I guess I'm a monkey.
I'm heading for Tuxedo Junction now.
James Stampville here to see Henry Young.
You go sign a waivers.
It's a nice day, huh?
Yeah, great.
Listen, where are you going? I want to go into the cell, talk to my client.
What are you, nuts?
I'd like to speak to him face to face.
Well, I already signed the release. It's your life.
Hi. So then, Mr. Young, is it? Or Mr. Young, is that correct? Mr. Young, that is your name, isn't it? Henry Young? Why don't I just assume that's your name until you tell me differently? How's that? Mr. Young, I will be acting as your defense attorney My name is James Stamphill, and anything you tell me will, of course, be protected under the rules of confidentiality and privileged information of the attorney-client relationship, so you can feel completely free to answer my questions in a totally honest and forthright fashion. Now, just for the record, your name is Henry Young, right? Mr. Young, this isn't an admission of guilt, it's just your name. You, speak English? Yeah, you do speak English. It says so right here on the file. Okay. Mr. Young, I am your attorney, but I'm not going to be able to provide you with much of a defense if one of us is catatonic. You see, we both have to at least be able and willing to answer up when our name is called, you know? Can you hear? Mr. Young? You okay, Mr. Young? Henry Young was born in Kansas in 1913. His parents died 10 years later, leaving Henry to raise his younger sister. At the age of 17, Henry went into a local store to try to get a job. He was refused work. Out of desperation, he reached into the cash register and took $5. The store also doubled as the town's post office. Henry was tried and convicted of the federal crime of mail robbery. Henry's sister was taken to live in an orphanage. He would never see her again. 11 years later, Henry would kill Rufus McCain. Mr. Young, you went and killed a guy, so you're not catatonic. So I know that you can talk. Or at least, I don't know. Maybe you could write something, huh? Or you want to write something right here? Something. Look, you want to give it a try? Right? Something, please. Mr. Young, you're looking at me. You hear me, don't you? Look, if you don't want to answer my questions, maybe we can start with something else. What do you want, Mr. Young? There has to be something. It can't just be to sit there, because if you do, they're just going to stick you in the gas chamber. You understand that? Yeah, I've read your file. I am trying to help you. That's all I'm trying to do. I just want to help you. Maybe there are extenuating circumstances in your case. Getting sentenced to Leavenworth for stealing $500, that's extenuating, now, isn't it? Look, Mr. Young, you have to understand I'm on your side here.
Bob Dunn.
What, Mr. Young?
It was $5, not 500.
Bingo! I knew you had it in you. Now, come on, Mr. Young. Why did you kill Rufus McCain? Come on. You just talk. Don't do this again. Come on. No. Don't quit now. Come on. You just talked. Why did you kill McCain? Huh? What? Huh? What are you saying? How? How? You're saying how? 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 What? What are you, fucking Indian? Come on, Mr. Young, don't quit now. How what? How is? How is? What, you want to know who somebody is? I'll find out immediately.
How is?
Who? How?
DiMaggio.
DiMaggio. How is DiMaggio? What, is he a prisoner over in Alcatraz?
How is DiMaggio doing this year?
DiMaggio, the baseball player?
Yeah.
How is Joe DiMaggio, the baseball player, doing this year? That's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Young, I don't really follow baseball. You know? Excuse me, Mr. McNeil. I'm James Stampill.
Yes?
Counsel for Henry Young.
Yes?
I was wondering if I could talk to you, sir, about continuance.
No.
You don't understand, sir. He just sits there. I can't even get him to speak.
Well, maybe he's practicing for the gas chamber. Tell him to take deep breaths.
Seriously, you won't even consider a joint motion in the interest of justice?
Are you old enough to be a lawyer?
Yes, sir, I am.
No joint motion for a continuance, no psychiatrist, and trust me, pal, no plea bargain. Your boy's gonna suck the pipe.
Sir.
Look, I don't know who you pissed off to get this piece of shit case, and I don't care. No breaks.
Mr. Young, DiMaggio is having a great year. Last year, he was the American League batting champ with a .352 average, which was just a little bit off the year before when he had a .381 average. Now, the Yankees, they too had a good year. New York defeats Chicago 4-0, led by Joltin' Joe DiMaggio hitting .400. 400, that's pretty good, isn't it? June 17th, 1941. Our friend DiMaggio hit safely in 32 straight games. 12 more, and he will tie the all-time record held by Wee Willie Keeler, who set the mark in 1897 for the Baltimore Orioles. Joe Louis emerges the victor in what some consider to be the toughest win of his career. Here we go with some entertainment news. Betty Grable. See? It says here she just finished filming.
How old are you?
What, Mr. Young?
How old are you?
Me, I'm 24.
I think I am too.
No, you're 28. Mr. Young. Would you like me to keep reading to you? Henry? Sort of make you a little bit more comfortable, Henry. First, Your Honor, the defense requests a new jury. Having been eliminated from this process, I don't see how it is
Three
fair.
new members, and that's it. Next.
Your Honor, the defense respectfully requests a continuance of 60 days so that I may confer with my client about the case.
Your Honor, he doesn't need 60 days. The facts in this case are so clear, I should think 6 minutes would probably...
Your Honor, my client has been almost catatonic since I met him. Yesterday was the first day I
He
even got him
wasn't so catatonic that he couldn't walk over and slit a guy's throat in front of 200 witnesses.
Mr. Stampill, is it your contention that the defendant is insane? Is that what you mean by catatonic? Approach the bench, counselor. Is this laying the groundwork for a not guilty by reason of insanity plea?
I don't know yet, Your Honor. I haven't even spoken to him about the case. The first I've got...
1 week, counselor. Then you will either come in here and tell me that you are ready to come to trial, or you will come in here with a request for a competency hearing.
But, Your Honor...
1 week. This court is in recess. Mr. Young, you and me, we've got to talk now. Would you like a cigarette?
No thanks. That shit'll kill you. That's kind of funny. That shit'll kill you. 'Cause I'm gonna die in that gas chamber anyway, so that's kind of a joke, huh? What's this about Nazis? We at war?
No, not yet, Mr. Young.
Brand new.
What?
Mr. Glenn told me.
Glenn, the Associated
He
War?
said it's brand new. He said they're gonna try it out on me.
Henry, we only have a week. You've got to talk to me, okay? Why did you kill Rufus McCain? Henry, why did you kill Rufus McCain?
How? How could you not know about baseball? You said I don't follow baseball.
Why did you kill Rufus McCain, Henry?
I don't know. It must have been maybe a year, maybe more. I don't know. All I did was hear him in my head.
What? What are you talking about? You talking about McCain? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about baseball. I'm talking about the great American pastime. I went over every game I ever heard on the radio. I went over every game I ever heard, just playing them over and over in my head. And you had all those games to go to, and you didn't even care.
Henry, I'm talking about Rufus.
That's what I'm talking about! 3 fucking years! They had me in that bucket! 3 fucking years! That ain't fucking light even! You had all those games to listen to!
You don't even know what DiMaggio hit this year. What kind of asshole are you?
Calm down, boy.
Why don't you understand? You know the average length of time an inmate would spend in solitary? 19 days. 19 days.
I understand 19 days.
Henry
but he
Young
killed
did
a
more
man.
than 3 years. 3 years in total darkness in a
James,
black hole.
that's tragic, but he took a life. Your brother's going to tell you exactly what I've told you. You're not going to get him off.
My brother is the best lawyer I know. It's going to take somebody that good to tell me we've got a chance for some kind of insanity or diminished capacity,
Your
please.
brother's
Something.
not going to give a damn.
Your client is a 2-time loser. This case is much more about you than him. He has no future. This is your first time in the spotlight. It's what you worked for. This case is a lost cause, and so you must handle it like a lost cause.
Maybe you're right, but guy's not exactly Al Capone, you know?
No, he isn't. All they had him on was income tax evasion. Your boy, they got on murder 1.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Henry.
Hey, listen. You're not mad at me, are you, for blowing up at you yesterday? Because, you know, nobody talks back.
Mad at you? No, I'm not mad at you.
And I'll get the hang of it. You know, I got a sense of humor. And you and me, we're going to have some good times before this is through. You know how to play cards? Could you get some cards? Look. I set this up for you. Here, sit down.
Henry, how much light got into the cell you spent 3 years in?
It's like when you offered me that cigarette.
Henry, I want to get that
And I
straight,
said,
all right?
no thanks, that shit'll kill you. That was pretty good, huh?
Henry, you got to help me if I'm going to defend you now, okay?
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Look. Did you kill this man here, Rufus McCain?
I must have. I'm here. I don't remember it, but everybody saw me, so yeah, sure.
But you don't remember it?
No, but so what?
Would you want to kill Rufus McCain?
You know, once there was this spider that crawled over me. You know, it was like having company, you know, and I looked for him again, but I couldn't find him because he had a way out.
McCain was a snitch, right? He was the reason you landed in the bucket.
142 times 93. Go ahead, ask me that one.
Henry, how long after you came out of the hole?
13,206.
13,000? You mean days? What are you talking
That's the answer. 142 times 93. Go ahead, figure
Henry,
it out.
I need you to concentrate on what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
How long was it?
I don't know. Okay, I don't remember. Hey, what's this new girl I see in the papers? This Ingrid Berger. Oh man, she's some kind of looking. You seen their movies?
Henry, goddammit, I want you to think.
I want to think. I spent 3 goddamn years in the dark, smelling my own shit, pissed, doing nothing but thinking. I hate thinking.
I'm sorry, Henry. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to help you.
Hey, you got a girl, right?
Yeah?
Take your jacket off.
What?
Let me smell it.
You were easier to understand when you were catatonic.
What's she like?
Who?
Your girl, that perfume on your jacket. Let me smell your jacket.
Look, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you my jacket, my pants, whatever you want. Sports, girls, whatever. But you gotta tell me just one memory about something I ask. Deal?
Sure.
Okay.
I've never been with a girl, you know. Let me try it on.
How long was it that you went without any daylight? They ever let you out for any exercise?
Merry Christmas, Henry.
Please, Henry, you get the tear gas.
How long I've been in here?
You're out of the hole.
I made it. I did it.
It's Christmas, 1940. Been down there 2 years.
2 years. I did it. 2 fucking years. I made it. I made it. I'm not too crazy, am I? Did it. It's over.
Hey, nothing's over, Henry. 30 minutes exercise, that's all you get.
No! No! No!
You don't want it, we take you back.
No, no! I want it! I want it. I'll be good. I'll be good.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant, Henry Young, is accused of murder in the first degree. It is your responsibility as a juror to deal with truth. Rufus McCain was murdered by Henry Young. Mr. Stamphill, public defender, will play upon your sympathies. He will use every trick in the book. Why? To avoid the gas chamber. The United States of America will demand that you return a verdict of guilty so that this animal will receive the punishment commanded by the Bible. An eye for an eye, a life for a life. For if ever there was a man guilty of murder, it is Henry Young. And if ever a man deserved to die for that crime, it is the accused.
Thank you very much, Mr. McNeil. Mr. Stamphill, are you prepared to make your opening statement at this time?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when I was a kid, my heroes weren't Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig. They were Clarence Darrow, Emile Zola. In other words, I've waited for this moment all of my life. Stand like I am right now in front of a jury of 12 good people, plead the case of an innocent man who's been unjustly accused. The only problem is he did it. I know it. Prosecutor Mr. McNeil knows it. Henry Young doesn't know it exactly because he can't remember it, but he won't deny that he did it. All those witnesses the prosecutor is going to bring forth will tell you so. Henry Young killed Rufus McCain. So now that we all know that, why don't we find the man guilty as charged, send him to San Quentin, and gas him, because that's what we all know is going to happen anyway. Right, Henry?
What?
There's only one problem that's going to keep us from wrapping this thing up in record time. Henry Young did not act alone. They haven't caught all the killers. You see, there was a co-conspirator, and it is because of this co-conspirator, whom we shall name in this courtroom, that Henry Young is innocent of the crime of murder.
What? Objection, Your Honor. I must protest.
I kind of figured you would.
Your Honor, this is absurd. Before the counselor is allowed to waste this court's time and this jury's time, I would request that he supply some proof or evidence of this co-conspirator.
Mr. Stamphill, can you bring forward evidence of the existence of a co-conspirator?
Not at this time, Your Honor, but it is my intention to provide such proof during the course of the trial.
He's not going to provide such proof because no proof exists. This man spent 3 years in solitary confinement. during which time no one had any influence over him because no one had any contact with him. He came out of solitary. He went directly to a shower. Then he went directly to a haircut. And then he went directly to the dining hall, where one convict had said one sentence to him. Your Honor, this does not a co-conspirator make.
I'm inclined to agree with the prosecution, young man. Unless you can justify that line of defense, I will sustain the prosecution's objection.
Your Honor, the district attorney, with his own words, has just made my case for me.
That will be the day.
Your Honor, for 3 years, 3 long, torturous years, no one and nothing had any influence whatsoever over Henry Young. No one and nothing. This was a man whose only crime was to steal $5 from a local post office so he could feed his starving sister. So he came to Alcatraz, a petty criminal who had never harmed or attempted to harm another human being in his entire life. And he came out of the dungeon a vicious, barbaric, maniacal murderer. A man who had been put into a kind of psychological coma. Within an hour of coming out of that hellhole, he did what would have been unthinkable to him only 3 years before. Unthinkable. His only thought was murder. His only instinct was murder. His first act was murder. Now, he himself was a murder weapon, but the hand that held that weapon and plunged it into the throat of Rufus McCain belonged to someone else. I point to the associate warden, Mr. Glenn, the warden, Mr. Humpson, and the institution known as Alcatraz and say, I accuse them individually and collectively. I accuse Alcatraz of the torture of Henry Young. I accuse Alcatraz of the murder of Rufus McCain. I accuse Alcatraz of the Spanish Inquisition in the United States of America. Henry Young is not going to be the only defendant here. No. Alcatraz is on trial.
I will address your objection tomorrow morning.
Henry Young, on trial for his life, is seen leaving the San Francisco courthouse, followed by his young and now very popular public defender, James Stamphill. Stamphill has accused the infamous Rock of torture, using the tagline, Crimes Against Humanity. Stamphill has turned the once quiet trial of a convict killing into a media circus.
In most cases, they do get better. And in the case of Henry Young, this happens not to be true.
Young is a noisemaker. Some prisoners have a problem when they're in solitary. All we do is try to discourage misconduct.
This is the first verbal attack on the jewel of the prison system. This bastion that houses evil opened in 1934. It brought gangsters like Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and Henry Young close to the magical City by the Bay, less than 1/2 mile from world-famous Fisherman's Wharf. We went to the streets to find out public opinion.
It's ridiculous you can't put a place on trial. It's a prison. It's for prisoners.
Now the murderers are accusing the wardens of this and that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Warden Humpson seems like a good guy. I like him.
If that place wasn't here, I probably wouldn't live here.
So you think it's too close to you, dude?
I think it's perfect.
I reckon he's innocent until he's proven guilty, and he'll get a fair trial. But nonetheless, he's a murderer.
This grisly evidence bears mute witness to the brutal crime perpetrated by Henry Young. Note the spoon. Can a prison be put on trial? Judge Clausen's ruling tomorrow may clear the way to put Alcatraz on trial.
The warden can't be relied upon to carry out the instructions of the Bureau that no brutality or inhumanity shall be practiced. Sustained food and medical attention shall be given, and we have wholeheartedly followed those instructions. Thank you.
So many opinions being expressed. We attempted to get a statement from the recent graduate of Harvard Law School assigned to defend Henry Young.
Why don't we just keep the trial in the courtroom? Thank you very much.
I would like to address a few words to the counsel for the defense. Mr. Stamphill, you are hereby put on notice that this court has no interest in newspaper headlines and will not be swayed by them. And I further admonish that counsel's attempts to try this case in the press and not before this court will put him in the utmost peril. Is that clear, Mr. Stamphill?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, good. Bailiff, approach the bench. Before I hand down my ruling on Mr. McNeil's objection, I would like to address a few words to the counsel for the defense. While I cannot give legal advice and sit on the bench at the same time, I will express grave concern with the defense's strategy. Counselor, I strongly recommend you walk a straight line in terms of your defense. Anything you state in this courtroom will be evaluated not only by the jury, but very closely scrutinized by myself. Is that understood, Mr. Stamphill?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Prosecution's objection is overruled. Mr. Stamphill, you may pursue your line of defense concerning the federal penitentiary at Alcatraz, and I will rule on any objections on a point-by-point basis.
Exception.
Noted. Mr. McNeil, you may call your first witness.
Prosecution calls Terrence Swenson.
Court calls Terrence Swenson. The witness shall remain standing until sworn in. Put your hand on the Bible.
Cut it out.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now pending before this court, so help you God.
So help me God.
You may be seated.
Mr. Swenson, as a guard at Alcatraz, did you know Henry Young?
Yes, sir.
Could you point him out for us, Mr. Swenson?
It's him right over there, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Thank you. Now, on the morning of June 11th, 1941, where were you?
I was on duty in the dining hall, and everything was normal. And I saw the defendant.
Henry Young?
That's correct. I saw him standing over Rufus McCain. He lifted up his chin and... Excuse me, I'm a little nervous.
That's all right, you're doing fine.
And he plunged a metal object, which I later learned was a spoon, into McCain's throat. He then ripped it open.
Did the defendant ever appear to be ranting or raving?
No, sir.
Mr. McKeon, was he frothing at the mouth?
No, sir.
Did he in any way give the impression of one who was insane?
Objection. This man is not a qualified psychiatrist, as far as I know.
Sustained.
So it appeared to you that it was a cool, calculated, and deliberate act?
Objection.
Overruled. The witness may answer the question.
Yes, sir, Young did it just as cool as a cucumber.
Thank you. No further questions.
This court will reconvene after the holiday. 9 a.m., July 5th.
All rise.
You should have played cards with me.
Alcatraz was built by the military during the Civil War. In May of '33, the War Department abandoned the island. It was leveled all except for the lower floor, which is now used for storage. Note to myself, I have to get access to the lower level because that's where the dungeons have got to be located. The only guard on record to be fired or dismissed during Henry's solitary time was Derek Simpson. Locate Simpson. The prison opened in June of '34 under Warden Humpson. He insisted on a high level of guards to prisoners. Glenn was the first appointee. Mr. Hankin.
Two things. First of all, you work for me.
I was just on my way
Let
up.
me finish. As I was saying, you work for me, which means when I call you, you drop everything. You return my call or you will cease to work for me.
Yes, sir, but you can see
I don't care if you're holed up with Rita Hayworth. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, what the hell you think you're doing with this trial?
I'm trying to defend my client.
Then why don't you defend him, for Christ's sake? Try to knock down the charges or say it was a crime of passion or figure out how you're going to cross-examine McNeil's witnesses instead of all this psychological coma crap that doesn't mean anything in a court of law.
Sir, I think it does. And as long as this is my case, I think that's the way I should handle it.
Fair enough. If I try to talk reasonably to you, but you're not going for it, so you're not handling this case anymore. Done.
Mr. Hankin, they're printing my opening statement in over 250 newspapers across the country. Now, if you want to take me off of this case because you're afraid of taking on Alcatraz, that's your choice. But I'm just going to go to Jerry Houlihan and tell my side of the story. If you want to play hardball, sir, I'll play hardball too.
I'm trying to be your friend, James. Do you know who the warden of Alcatraz is? He is the most highly respected warden in this country, dealing with the world's hardest criminals. If you try to make Humpson look like a Nazi, they will eat you for breakfast.
Henry, you are the one that is gonna die if I can't get some corroboration about what goes on over there. I need names. Names of men who will come and testify.
Well, what makes you think these men are gonna come and testify?
I don't know, maybe you got some friends you don't know about.
And you wanna play cards?
Henry, I can get a court order. I'll make them testify.
Oh, yeah, what's your court order gonna do for them when they're back on the rock? Mr. Glenn is gonna kill him, that's what.
I understand you. This is the only chance we've got. We're talking about your life.
Oh, Jim, for a smart guy, you're awful slow. I'm already dead. I told you that. You know, you can't change Alcatraz. It just is. So why fight it? I mean, I see you standing up there in court and you're preaching. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Justice. Talking about justice.
Jim, I killed him. They saw it. They're gonna kill me. Nothing you could say is gonna make any difference, so I don't see what you got to get so excited about.
This trial, it doesn't interest you at all? You don't care about it in the slightest?
Well, you know, you look like you're having a good time, so, I mean, no, I don't care. Main thing is I got a friend my age to talk to till they gas me.
I'm not your friend, Henry. I'm your attorney. I'm trying to save your life. Guard!
You know, I had a sister, but I ain't seen her since they put me in jail the first time. I got nothing. I got nobody. I don't need a lawyer. I need a friend. And all this stuff you're doing so you can prove something to some guy named Dow or something, but you're not doing it for me. Hey, you want to do something for me? Let's play cards.
You go ahead and play cards, Henry. I got a case to try.
Yo, oh, Jim, wait, where you going? Where you going? Hey!
I'm Henry Young's attorney. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Mr. Barkdahl, I want to call prisoners to the stand who will come and testify about life on Alcatraz. I want to know where the dungeons are, what solitary time in those dungeons is like. I want the jury to know and understand.
You told him to get caught robbing a bank. He'll find out. I'm done talking.
Mr. Murphy, if we can get decent treatment for you, it makes decent treatment possible for everyone. If we ignore cruelty in one place, it makes it more acceptable everywhere.
I ain't gonna do shit for you. You can't get me no good time knocked off. You can't get me no privileges. You can't even get me seconds at dessert. I testify for anybody. I testify for the DA. He's got some juice here.
Mr. Baker, could you tell me anything about Henry Young?
Don't know Henry Young.
Could you tell us anything about Mr. Glenn?
Well, Glenn has always been good to me.
Have you ever been in the dungeons?
Ma'am, I don't know nothing about no dungeons. That's all, ma'am. I gotta go now.
Fuck you. Did Mr. Glenn tell you not to cooperate with me?
Fuck you.
Mr. Grooves, where are the dungeons located?
Don't take my fucking picture!
Do you know that I can get a writ of habeas corpus testificanum that can force you to come and testify in a court of law?
Fuck you.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Grooves.
Don't mention it. Oh, and you, sweetheart? I'd like to fuck you.
Well, I hope your day has been fruitful. I don't see your photographer. Is he still taking pictures?
He's trying to. Mr. Glenn, we're not receiving a great deal of cooperation. It almost seems as though someone spoke to the prisoners and told them not to talk to us.
No, there's no conspiracy. No one talked to them. Maybe it's because they are dangerous people who belong here, and they have no interest in you or your case.
I would like to see the dungeons.
I'm sorry. Dungeons?
The old citadel, the sub-level of the prison.
Well, that's mostly storage, a few solitary cells, no dungeons.
I would like to see the solitary confinement. confinement cells.
I would love to show those cells to you, but I can't. They're an insurance risk to visitors in case of a riot. If you're there, we won't be able to protect you.
Thank you for your concern.
I could show you the exercise yard. Oh, you have papers.
Yes, I have papers, so you can cut the good guy act.
Mr. Stamphill, the fact is I do consider myself as one of the good guys, and perhaps more than you. I know what the bad guys are like. No, I'd like to read them. Please. Thank you.
That is a court order instructing you to permit us access to the solitary confinement cells and to allow the photographer, Mr. Kelly, to take pictures of the same to be used as exhibits in the trial of the People versus Young. You were also instructed to hand over to us the complete medical and disciplinary files listed therein. If you refuse to do so, you will have to appear in court and show just cause.
Officer, why don't you take Mr. Castle upstairs for some air?
I was instructed not to leave you alone.
I don't care what you were instructed to do. You may be used to these conditions, but obviously she's not. Come on, we've already been searched. So why don't you just take her outside, or else we can go right to Glenn and discuss the matter with him.
All right. No more photos.
You all right? Thanks, Wayne.
I just need some air.
My name's James Stamphill. I'm Henry Young's attorney. Now, I can force them to let you out of here so you can come testify in San Francisco in a court of law. You just have to give me your name. I promise I will do what I said for you.
Hey, James, she's okay. Just needed some air.
Can I go now?
Feeling any better?
I guess I'll make it. Did you get anything?
I get 3 names.
Let's go.
Where did Stamphill get the 3 names on this list?
I don't know, Mr. Henkin.
What, you think you could trust these cons? You know, they're smart enough to look after their own interests. They told Glenn that your boy James said that he could get him out of solitary as long as they were willing to testify for the defense and lie on the stand.
That's a lie. All you wanted to do was find one convict willing to...
Mary, this is goddamn bribery. It's prejudicing a witness, conduct that could get you disbarred. It's gone too far. Fire him, and I don't care how you do it.
Why do you have to make it be like this? Why can't you just take
Because
it out?
Henry Young is my client. I'm a lawyer. It's my job to defend
Not
him.
anymore.
What?
He's already been notified that Henkin wants you off the case.
Henry will never go for it.
He went for it. He's been assigned another attorney.
Who?
Me. Me. Henkin assigned me to the case. He said I could take it or be fired. I didn't have any choice.
You didn't have a choice but to stab me in the back?
I'm not stabbing you in the back. I'm trying to save your job here
What
and
about
mine.
saving Henry's life? I thought that was the most important thing. What about there's more to being a lawyer than profit?
I don't have a brother who's a partner in a big law firm. There aren't any choices for a woman attorney. There aren't any other jobs waiting out there for me either. The only option that I had was to do what he told me to do. What could I have done, James? You tell me.
I'll see you, Mary.
What we need to do is establish exactly in the cross... You know, we have a lot of work to get through today, if you don't mind. Stop that, Mr. Young.
Jesus Christ, all I was doing was looking.
Mr. Young, I want to set you straight about the way that I
you
intend...
set me straight the minute you walked in here.
Mr. Young?
Please, call me Henry. Please.
Mr. Young, I am not here to satisfy any sexual fantasies that you may have.
You're not?
No, I'm your attorney.
Oh, yeah, well, but they're gonna kill me anyway, so you're not gonna do me any good as an attorney. You might as well be good for something.
Mr. Young, I can't...
Please call me Henry, can't you? I just wanna hear a lady. Call me Henry, can't you, please? Please. Just one.
Henry, listen, we have so...
Yeah, that's it. Now, I'm gonna touch you just a little. Just a little.
You crazy?
Yeah, sure, it's not gonna hurt you to let me touch you, is it?
Don't make me call the guard. We're running late on this... Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
What? I'm not touching you. I'm touching me.
Guard! Guard!
Hello, ma'am. Did he do anything?
No.
All right. You let me know if he does.
No, I'd like to leave now, please.
He wants to see you in there.
What?
He wants to see you in there.
Why'd you want to meet here? Neutral territory?
So you won't be my lawyer again?
Well, what happened to the other one?
And I don't know if I want her. Since I had her, I mean. She was good, though. She was everything I wanted my first experience to be. You know, I was just talking. She came over, just started touching me right on my...
That's great, Henry.
Jim, I just played a joke on you. I know she was your girlfriend. I remember from the smell of your perfume on your jacket. So, lawyer, you want to come back?
I resigned. So I guess that means I'm in private practice now, huh?
I could have had her, though. Of course. She don't play cards. After I got arrested, they took my little sister away. They put her in a home or orphanage. I don't know. I don't know what happened to her. Never saw her again.
My parents died when I was 7. It was just me and my brother, and he didn't know anything about raising a child, so he sent me off to boarding school. I did get to come home on holidays. They put me through law school, then he got me the job at the public defender's office. He always wanted me to do well. We had a plan until you came along and messed everything up, Henry.
I wish I'd have been able to take care of my little sister, you know? I mean, family's family, right?
Henry, I'm sorry you're here.
Hey, this here's paradise compared to my last home.
So how about the case? You want to talk about that a little bit now?
You never give up, do you?
Okay, what about the Redskins? How do you think they're going to do against the Yankees this year?
Jim, Redskins are a football team. Yankees are a baseball team. Personally, I think the Redskins kick the shit out of them.
Henry, I'm trying.
I know.
Now, this is going to be a private conversation, Byron. It never took place, all right?
Is that all right with you, Thurgood?
I'm the one who suggested it, Mike.
You know, that brother of yours is making quite a little name for himself. We've even heard his name in Washington.
My brother's resigned from the case.
Morning, Mr. Stanton.
Well, he was hired back again last night.
What do you mean he was hired back again?
Byron. Since you made partner, your work here has been stellar. I would hate to see anything...
Thurgood, what exactly are you trying to say?
This administration is not going to allow public attention to be diverted from all the good that it's done by some kind of witch hunt in the Justice Department. Now, I'm just telling you what the score is, Byron. It's up to you to take care of him.
Why would J. Edgar Hoover care about what happens to Henry Young?
Oh, grow up, James. He doesn't care about what happens to Henry. He cares about Alcatraz, the Justice Department, Humpson, the administration. He can't have some kid from the PD's office.
I'm not a public defender anymore.
Don't play games, you know the point.
Yeah, the point is I'm trying to do what's right. I'm talking about justice here.
You're disgusted about what happened on Alcatraz, so am I. But if you tear the whole system down, what does that say about America? We're wrong. We can't be wrong. The world is fighting right now to preserve our system, our way of life. You can't attack it blindly.
Byron, we're talking about one man here. It's not that big of a deal.
You're under surveillance.
What?
Everyone is watching you. Tell me how you plan to continue. You have to realize, no one will talk. Everyone has been gotten to.
I have somebody.
Who?
I can't tell you.
So now you don't trust me?
Byron, you're my brother. I love you.
I need your help.
I can't do it, Byron. I'm sorry, but I can't. I can't.
James, as a consolation, please don't put Humpson on the stand.
Why?
Humpson was handpicked by Hoover. It would save a lot of embarrassment if you were to avoid Humpson.
I'll think about it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Byron. Yeah.
Mr. Stamphill?
Yeah, this is James Stamphill.
This is Derek Simpson. Remember we talked before?
Right, of course I remember. Have you made your decision?
I've been thinking about what we were talking about, and I'd like to be a witness.
Wonderful. Now, you do understand that you'll have to testify in court under oath about the brutality you witnessed at Alcatraz.
Yes, I know that.
Particularly in reference to Henry Young.
Yeah, I know some things.
Mr. Simpson, do you hold any sort of grudge against Warden Humpson or Associate Warden Glenn?
No.
Okay, why don't I just come over and we can speak in person?
Yes. I'm in Chinatown. It's an alley called Scotland Court. The number there is 964.
Mr. Simpson, are you in here? Mr. Simpson, you all right? You all right? Mr. Simpson, you still want to be a witness? is a court reporter.
What happened to your face?
My face had a little accident this morning. Listen, Henry, we need to get one more deposition.
Nope.
Regarding the beatings you received. Your eye, your leg, everything. Henry, remember when you told me you'd never been with a woman before? Henry, this is Blanche. Blanche, this is Henry.
Nice to meet you, Henry.
Now, you guys only got about 4 minutes before the next guard arrives for his shift, so you gotta hurry up. Now, I can't leave the room, but I'm just gonna be over here in this corner. Turn my back.
We can get acquainted. Come on, honey, we don't have all night.
Thanks, Jim. You're a good friend. Oh, boy.
Thanks. Hi, Charlie. What's the story?
The attorney and a reporter inside with a prisoner.
Is he shackled?
Yeah. Other than that, everything's pretty quiet.
Sweetie, you have to get it up first. It's like trying to stick an oyster into a slot machine. Give me that.
I can't.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
I can't. Sorry.
Except for the $5 show.
For what?
What, you didn't listen? Lose knocks Nova out in the 6th round.
Bum.
Yeah. Give me the money.
I can't.
Yeah, you can.
I can't.
I can.
Adios, Charlie. Oh, you know what?
It's gonna cost extra, you know.
Just do what you have to do.
Hey, we only had a few minutes. You got another guy in the room? It's okay.
Your Honor, the defense calls Associate Warden Mr. Milton Glenn.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
You may be seated.
As Associate Warden, you are responsible for the day-to-day running of the prison, are you not?
You could say that.
And you must be familiar with the dungeons, correct?
Dungeons?
I'm sure you've heard of them.
Some prisoners refer to the lower levels as dungeons.
They refer to bread and water as piss and punt.
Mr. Glenn, the dictionary definition of a dungeon is a close, dark prison or vault, commonly underground. Now, the walls of those cells measure 6 feet by 9, and the roof is 5 to 6 feet tall. Would you call that close?
As a matter of opinion, no.
Are there any light fixtures in those?
No, but there aren't any books either.
Your Honor, defense offers these photographs as defense exhibit B, C, D, E, and F. Now, how much light comes into these lower cells with no window when the door is closed?
Not much.
How long was Henry Young held in such a cell?
I don't know exactly.
3 years and 2 months. I have the record to prove it if you'd like to see it.
That sounds right.
3 years and 2 months. Now, In that time, how often was Henry Young allowed outside for exercise?
Mr. Stamphill, I do not believe that the exercise time of an inmate is relevant.
Well, I do. Answer the question.
Objection.
Objection overruled.
Henry Young tried to escape. Now, when a criminal escapes from prison, he doesn't write up a resume and go job hunting. He robs somebody or kills somebody. We do all we can to discourage escape.
Mr. Glenn, in 3 years and 2 months, how often was Henry Young allowed outside for a little exercise?
I do not believe that men are
Answer the question I'm asking. How often was he allowed outside for exercise?
Objection, he's badgering the witness.
Objection overruled. Mr. Glenn, you will answer that question.
Young man, I do not recall.
You don't know? Surely a half hour a year isn't too difficult to recall now, is it?
Mr. Stamphill, there's no place in my courtroom for sarcasm.
Sorry, Your Honor. Mr. Glenn, I have here a list with 32 names on it. Now, these are all names of men who were prisoners at Alcatraz during your tenure there. Is that correct?
Well, I can't remember the name of every prisoner.
Well, I have committal papers with your signature as well as the late Dr. Wendell Kiley. We'd like this to be marked Defense Exhibit G. Now, all of these men were taken off Alcatraz in straitjackets and placed in mental institutions. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. The question is immaterial.
Immaterial, Your Honor. I'm saying in lay terms that Alcatraz drives people insane, that it has already done so in 32 instances. Now, if this is not true, the witness ought to have the opportunity to say so. If it is true, it is most material, and the jury ought to be privy to that knowledge, don't you think?
Objection overruled.
Thank you. Now, is it not true that these men were taken off Alcatraz in straitjackets and placed in mental institutions, and you and Dr. Wendell Kiley signed the committal and transfer papers?
True.
Is it not also true that of these 32 men, 28 of them had never before set foot inside a mental institution?
I don't know.
I have their records if you'd like to see them.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Okay, here are men who came to Alcatraz legally sane, were subjected to the conditions of Alcatraz, and then deemed to be insane. Is that correct?
Yes, but you can't say that one causes the other.
Well, insanity's not a virus, is it? It's not something we're all going to catch now, is it?
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is not a psychiatrist.
Objection sustained. Mr. Stamphill, you will confine your questions to areas of Mr. Glenn's expertise.
Very well. Mr. Glenn's expertise. Mr. Glenn, have you ever beaten a prisoner?
No, that would be illegal.
Not even when provoked? No. You've never hit, kicked, used a blackjack or straight razor? You've never punched a prisoner in your entire career?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Confine yourself to one question at a time.
Is it not true that you ordered 2 guards to throw Henry Young down a steel flight of stairs, that you smashed his face with a blackjack, that you took a straight razor, sliced open his ankle, hobbling that man for life? That's the truth, isn't it? Answer the question.
Objection, Your Honor.
The witness has already testified.
He's testified to a lot of things, Your Honor. Mr. Glenn, are you aware that in a federal court system, perjury is a crime?
Henry
you
Young
could
is the
spend
one
time
on
in
trial.
prison.
I remind you, young man, that Henry Young is the one on trial here, not me. I am a public servant. I am not the bad guy. I will not be treated the same way as this lying, murdering, 2-time loser.
Silence, Mr. Glenn. Mr. Stamphill, you are perilously close to contempt of this court. You will proceed with caution. Is that understood?
Temper. Well, would you care to withdraw any of your previous testimony? You wouldn't want somebody to come along and testify the contrary now, would you?
No, I would not withdraw any testimony. No matter what Henry Young has told you.
I'm not talking about Henry Young. I wouldn't believe him. Mr. Simpson, did you ever beat this man, Henry Young?
Objection, Your Honor. This has no bearing.
No bearing. Your Honor, beatings have a bearing on a man's state of mind. 3 years of darkness has a bearing on a man's state of mind. Do we need to be psychologists to know that? You know that, Your Honor. I know you do.
Objection overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Simpson, did you ever beat Henry Young with a blackjack?
Yes.
Did you ever throw Henry Young down a steel flight of stairs?
Yes, I did.
You were ordered to do this?
Yes, sir.
You will tell us the name of the man who was your superior who ordered you to do these things.
Mr. Glenn.
Mr. Glenn. You never went to Warden Humpson about these matters?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. I won't ask you where you got your bruises. I already know. Your witness.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to mark for identification the employment records of Mr. Derek Simpson. Do you recall, Mr. Simpson, being suspended on November 4th, 1936, and again on July 6th, 1937?
Yeah.
Speak up, Mr. Simpson.
Yes.
Is it not a fact that you were fired from your job as a guard because you are a drunk?
Objection.
Objection
not
overruled.
true.
Objection.
Objection
And that
overruled.
Mr. Glenn would not tolerate this in a federal prison?
No.
Isn't it true, Mr. Simpson, that having cost you your job, you would say just about anything to get even with Mr. Glenn?
The jury will disregard Mr. Simpson's testimony.
Good afternoon. Mr. Stanton! Mr. Stanton, is everything okay?
Son of a bitch! Byron, you know exactly what happened. You set me up.
What are you talking
You set me up. You took Simpson's picture off of my desk. They never would have known to tear Simpson down if you hadn't have told them.
Are you gonna hit me now, James? Go ahead. It's about time you grew up and were a man.
You're my brother. You had me beaten up.
James, that was not supposed to happen. Only Simpson. You walked in and was bad timing.
Bad timing? I'm putting Humpson on the stand.
Why, James? Humpson doesn't know anything!
Man runs 3 prisons. He has to know something, unless he's never there. Son of a bitch.
He was never there. Never there.
You never saw him? You never shook his hand?
No,
nothing?
you hear about him visiting, but I never saw him. Now, your old brother did that to you. Your brother did that to you.
Yeah.
Jesus, rich people are weird. Hey, you hear DiMaggio broke Keeler's record, 45 straight games. Wouldn't it be great if he never stopped?
The doc records would show when he was there, Henry. Every trip to Alcatraz is recorded. I had to sign it myself.
Hey, Jim.
What?
We friends, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Is it over? I mean, you know, is that all? Nothing more you're gonna do with the trial, I mean?
Thought you didn't care.
No, I don't care. I don't care. It's just, you know, as long as you got shit to throw at him, we can keep talking, right? But when it's over, huh?
Henry, I'm not here to keep you entertained until the executioner comes. You know, this trial isn't
Hey,
just a
Jim.
game. What?
If I was on the outside, I mean, you know, if there was like a good fairy and she waved a wand and I was on the outside, you and me, would we be friends then?
Yes.
No, we wouldn't. You wouldn't have nothing to do with me, you know? And what I can't figure out is why, you know, I mean, we both ain't got nobody else and we're the same age, sort of. And if I'd have lived in your house and they'd have switched us when we was babies, I could have been just like you. They stuck you down in the hole. You could be sitting here just like me asking how come we couldn't be friends on the outside. You ever steal $5?
Once, when I was a kid, from my brother's wallet.
What happened?
He told me not to do it again.
Why'd they put me in that hole for 3 years? I could have been just like you. I just like to ask them, you know?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
You may be seated.
Warden Humpson, in a book you wrote, you refer to the convicts as your children. In fact, you liken your job to that of a parent, to providing for their physical needs and molding their character.
Yes, I wrote that.
I have here a record of a prisoner named Johnson who did a total of 500 days in the lower cells. The hole, the dungeon. This was over a 10-year period for such offenses as not finishing all the food on his plate, having an extra pair of socks in his cell, keeping an untidy cell, smuggling food from the dining room, crumbs, in fact, to a pet lizard. Now, is this what you mean when you say molding character?
No. You're twisting things here. The isolation cells were simply a tool of a temporary nature for extreme cases within the general population.
Moreover, you make it sound like the prisoner did 1,500 days at one stretch for one infraction. That's not true. No. Prisoners were held for 19 days at a time. That's all.
That's all. Well, perhaps you can tell me why Henry Young did over 1,000 days in the dungeon. Not 19 days, but 1,000 days in total darkness with only 30 minutes of daylight a year.
Yes, but he tried to escape. You can't compare his offense with that of a man who smuggled food to a lizard.
Now, this was the first time a sentence of 3 years had been imposed, was it not?
It wasn't a sentence. It was an administrative decision to place him there for an undetermined amount of time.
Why not a time limit? Doesn't that seem a little bit inhumane? No time limit.
Simply, no. While we strive to prevent crime, what should we do with the man who has committed it? We aim to make him his better self.
His better self? Well, I'm sure that Henry Young thanks you for his better self. It is a fact, Mr. Humpson, you simply put Henry Young in that dungeon and forgot all about him. Washed your hands of him. Now, Henry wanted me to ask you why. Why would you do that, sir? Why?
It was, I didn't. That's not true.
Your Honor.
I withdraw the question. I apologize to the jury
Mr.
and
Stamphill, it's not necessary that you apologize.
Actually, Your Honor, it is. You see, I made a mistake. Warden Humpson couldn't simply have just washed his hands of Henry Young. He couldn't have, because he had absolutely no idea he was there. Isn't that true, Warden? You are never there, and you permit Glenn to run that prison any way he sees fit.
I am there as much as I need to be. I run 3 penal institutions. It's impossible to know every detail of every inmate.
Well, I have the San Francisco Port Authority records, which you signed every time you went to Alcatraz. You went 7 times in 38, 5 in 39, 10 in 40, and only twice so far this year. 24 day trips in over 3.5 years, while Henry Young was in that dungeon over 1,000 days. 24 out of 1,000 days. That's as much as you're saying you needed to be there? You knew nothing about a man who was left to die in a dungeon for 3.5 years, did you? Absolutely nothing. In fact, you have never even met Henry Young, have you? Right now, in fact, is the first time you have ever even seen this man. Look at him. That's him right there. That's Henry Young right there.
He tried to escape.
Yeah, he tried to escape. But the fact, the cold, brutal fact, Warden Humpson, is that this man who had never before in his entire life harmed or attempted to harm another human being, never was now a murderer. That is a fact, is it not?
Yes, it is.
And it is
No,
equally
he
a
tried
fact.
to escape. You can't let them get away with this. If we let them get away with this, where would we be? What? Should we let murderers roam the streets?
Henry Young was not a
Right
murderer.
here? We're not
Henry
doing that
Young
right.
was not a murderer until Alcatraz got a hold of him. Now, the prison runs under your guidelines. So you created the murderer, didn't you? Didn't you?
He tried to escape. That's the thing, you see. That's
Mr. Stamphill, do you have any further questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down.
He tried to escape.
I've been trained all my life for that day. Control the witness, go for the kill, win, victory. School prepared me well. My brother, he had prepared me well. Years later, he and I would reconcile. Family's family, you know? Mary congratulated me, but we'd already begun to drift apart. When you only try to win, you sometimes lose sight of the goal, which should have always remained Henry. There's no way they're gonna send you to the gas chamber, Henry. Most you'll get is second-degree murder, maybe even manslaughter. 10 years if you get a recommendation for clemency and you'll walk. You'll be a free man, you'll have your whole life in front of you.
Monday morning, I want you to get up to that judge and I want you to tell him there's been a change of plan. I want you to get up there and change my plea to guilty.
That's a joke, right?
Not to me, it's not. I'm not doing it.
Jesus Christ, I mean, what the hell have I been doing here? Why have I been wasting my time?
I never thought we'd win.
I don't understand you. I thought you wanted to fight.
I just wanted a friend.
Henry, I am your friend.
No, you're not. No, you're not. It's always about you. It's never about me. You don't understand. I mean, I already lost. You just keep talking, and you never listen. You certainly don't know what you're talking about because you don't know what it's like.
What? What's like?
Alcatraz! I mean, where do you think they're gonna send me those 10 years you're talking about? They're gonna send me back to Alcatraz, that's what.
Henry, when it's over, you'll be alive. You'll be able to take care of your sister.
I'm Henry. I'm the one that's gotta do the time, not you. And I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't. All right? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Nothing's worth going back there.
67,000 fans at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, watching to see if Joe DiMaggio can keep his 56-game hitting streak alive. Jim Bagby on the mound, works the count to 1-1. Runner on first base. Here's the pitch. Joe DiMaggio swings that ground ball hit out to short. Luke Woodrow. He slips way back for 1 out. Relays and drives to first. It's in time for a double play. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak is stopped.
Yeah?
Mrs. Rosetta Dial?
Why are we in here, Jim?
Maybe there are some things worth fighting for, Henry.
Henry?
Do I know you?
I'm Rosetta, Henry. I'm your sister. My baby's name is Henry. You know, Mr. Stamphill says that.
I was beginning to think that you wasn't real, that I made you up in my mind.
I want you to come.
Rosetta, I want you to tell Jim that I appreciate him bringing you down here and knowing that you turned out okay. That means a lot. I want you to tell him come Monday morning. He's gonna plead me guilty, just like I said. I wish I wasn't so scared of them, Rosetta. I wish to God I wasn't. You take care of yourself now.
You may call your next witness, Mr. Stamphill.
Your Honor, be just a second. Henry, I'm your friend. If we were on the outside, I'd be lucky to consider you my friend. Therefore, I'm not going to kill you.
Are you going to call a witness sometime today, Counselor?
Yes, Your Honor. Look, if you want to change your plea, you go up there and you do it, because I'm not going to do it for you.
I want you to plead me guilty.
I don't think you are guilty.
That doesn't matter.
It does to me.
Okay, Counselor. I am very close to finding you in
Your Honor,
contempt of-
the defense calls Mr. Henry Young.
No!
You just lost the case. If you want to change your plea, then you go up there and you do it, because I repeat, I'm not going to do it for you.
Counselor, unless...
He's coming, Your Honor. Go ahead, tell him. Tell them, not me.
You better ask me the right questions.
I'll ask you what I want to ask you.
And I'll answer what I want to answer.
Fine.
Fine.
Stand up. Put your hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now pending before this court? So help you God.
So help me God.
State your name for the records.
Henry Young.
Be seated.
Your Honor,
Henry, you want to wait until I've asked you a question? I haven't asked you a question
He's
yet.
trying to trick me.
Your Honor, would you please instruct the witness to refrain from speaking until I've asked him a question, then just to answer the question that I ask?
He's your witness, Counselor.
He won't listen to me.
He trying to trick me. I just...
Silence, Mr. Young. Now, here's the way it works. Mr. Stamphill will ask you a question. Then you may answer that question. However, Mr. Stamphill cannot coerce you into testifying against yourself. Now, you do understand that.
Yeah, I just want to...
Mr. Young, did you and I have a conversation last Friday in which you told me you wished to change your plea from
Mr.
innocent to
Stamphill, you will wait until I have finished instructing the witness.
All right, so that's okay. That's the question I wanted him to ask me.
It is not okay. And I do not need you to tell me what is or is not okay. In this courtroom, I am the one who decides what is or is not okay. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, thank you very much. Counselors, approach the bench. Now, you want to tell me what the hell is going on here?
I'm just trying
I mean, your own defendant is looking to me to protect him from you. So what's going on?
I know, Your Honor. It seems very strange, but...
As far as I'm concerned, you're an idiot to put him on the stand for any reason. You're asking your own client to testify against himself.
Your Honor, I know it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but the prosecution isn't objecting, so...
No, I'm not. Let him continue.
Shut up. Stamphill.
Enough damage has been done. I don't think I can mess things up anymore than
Oh,
they are.
yes, you can. All right. But you're on a very short leash, Stamphill. A very short leash. I will throw you in jail for contempt myself. Now, let's get this goddamn show on the road.
Don't let him rattle you, James. I think you're doing a great job.
Mr. Young, stop playing with that. Now, do you or do you not wish to continue testifying, Mr. Young?
It's okay. He asked me the right question.
Counselor, you may proceed.
Mr. Young, did you and I not have a conversation last Friday which you told me you wished to change your plea from innocent to guilty?
Yeah. That I want to change my plea. That's what I told you.
Mr. Young, I'm going to ask you the single most important question I can ask you as to what this whole trial is about. Are you guilty of the murder of Rufus McCain?
Well, I want to change my plea to guilty. That's what I said.
I didn't ask you what you said you wanted to do. I asked if you are guilty.
Objection, Your Honor. He's badgering the witness.
He's my witness, for Christ's sakes.
No, you're nothing.
If the accused wants to enter a plea of guilty, I don't know why...
Silence. Mr. Stamphill, you are skating on very thin ice here.
Maybe, Your Honor, but I'd like to get to the other side.
Very well. You may proceed at your own peril.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me take this one step at a time.
Mr. Young, we had a conversation in which I told you I felt with the way the trial was going, the most you would have to face, more than likely, would be another 10 years. Maybe even less.
You don't give a shit what...
10 years, that's what I said, right?
Yeah, but...
And then did you say to me that you were Henry, you were the guy who had to do the time, not me. You were the one that were going to stick back in Alcatraz and do those 10 years, right?
That's what I told you. That's what I'm telling you now. Why you doing this to me?
Because, Mr. Young, if you change your plea to guilty, they will execute you. You will die.
So fucking what? I'd rather die than go back there.
What did you say, Mr. Young?
I said I'd rather die than go back there. Can't you understand that?
Henry, why do you want to die?
Because I'm scared of him. I'm scared to go back there. I'm scared.
Objection, Your Honor. He's finished.
I haven't finished anything. Henry, look at me. Henry, look at me. Look at me. You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just talking to you right now, okay? Not the judge or the jury. If you want to die, I will back you up. But I swear to God, I will fight these bastards. They will never be able to do this to anyone again. You are not going to die for nothing. The choice is yours, Henry. What do you want to do?
I want to stop being afraid.
Henry Young, are you guilty of the murder of Rufus McCain?
I was a weapon. But I ain't no killer. They're the murderers.
Bailiff, you may remove the prisoner.
Escort the prisoner to the holding room.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have received your instructions. You may find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter, which carries with it a maximum penalty of 3 years, in which case the defendant will be remanded to the custody of the warden of Alcatraz. Or you may find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. Without a recommendation for mercy, that verdict will carry with it a sentence of death. court is now in session. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how do you find?
The defendant will rise.
We, the jury, find the defendant Henry Young not guilty of murder in the first degree, and guilty only of involuntary manslaughter.
Order! Order!
Your Honor, we would like permission to address the court if possible.
Very well.
Your Honor, we have this day signed a petition which I would like to read to the court. We would like the following to be read into the record of this proceeding. Though we know it will have no legal or binding effect, we would hope that it will have a moral effect. We, the members of the jury, recommend and request an immediate investigation by the proper federal authorities of the federal penitentiary known as Alcatraz. We find this institution, its warden and associate warden, guilty of crimes against humanity.
Thank you. The jury is dismissed. This trial is concluded.
All rise. The defendant is remanded to the custody of the warden of Alcatraz.
News from San Francisco. The Young trial concludes. The Rock will be investigated as Young is vindicated by a verdict of involuntary manslaughter. James Stamphill.
As I walked out of the courtroom that day, I did not fully realize how much Henry and I had actually accomplished. It all just happened so fast.
Henry, I'm gonna be up to see you as often as I can.
Yeah, maybe you could bring that Blanche back for a second shot, huh?
Yeah, I'll try. See what I can do.
Let's go, Henry.
Like home.
Henry, it's not over. It's not over. I'm gonna appeal. I'm gonna appeal to have you moved to another prison. I'm gonna file motions to have your original case reopened. I'm gonna
Henry and
petition the
Jim
president.
together again, huh?
That's right. Henry and Jim together again. Henry and Jim together again.
Hey, Jim. I won, didn't I? I mean, I really did something. I won.
That's right, Henry. You won.
Hey, Jim. How many games was DiMaggio's hitting streak?
54?
No.
I got you. 56, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, Henry.
Take care of yourself. The definition of victory is success in any contest or struggle. Engagement ending in triumph. That was to be the last time I was to see Henry Young alive. Before the court date was set for an appeal, his body was found in a cell. He laid beneath a single word he had scrawled with a rock. Victory. Henry Young taught me the meaning of the word. He was the only man that I have known who gave more than he asked. All that he ever wanted was a friend. And I will always remember him as one of the best friends I have ever had. Unlike many men that live much longer, Henry Young did not die in vain. In the end, he was not afraid. He lived and he died in triumph. If only we could all do that.
Welcome home.
I've missed you, Henry.
Mr. Glenn, you can beat me. You can put me back in that hole. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter to me. Action. I won. Reaction. You can't ever take that away from me.
him to the hall.
Charles Dickens once said that solitary confinement was inhumane. 7 months later, the Supreme Court agreed. And as a result of the facts brought out in the trial of the People versus Henry Young, the dungeons of Alcatraz were closed forever. Associate Warden Glenn was brought up on charges of mistreatment. He was found guilty. He would never work in the penal system again. I remained in private practice. I also became a baseball fan. You did it, Henry.